Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Empower your business or digital agency with Bluehost, trusted by over 5 million WordPress users globally. Bluehost features top-to-bottom hosting optimizations designed specifically for WordPress, giving you 24/7 access to a team of experts for support, plus thousands of WordPress help articles. So if you want to streamline WordPress website creation with intuitive controls and premium support, choose Bluehost, powering over 2 million websites worldwide.
Audible lets you enjoy all of your audio entertainment in one single app. You'll always be able to find the best of what you love or something new to discover. Audible offers an incredible selection of audiobooks across every genre, from your bestsellers to new releases to celebrity memoirs. My favorite, as you probably know, are the true crime titles that they have available on Audible. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere. You can listen while traveling, working out, walking, doing chores, you decide. Now, new members can try Audible for free for 30 days by using our link. So all you have to do to sign up and get a free 30 days is visit audibletrial.com/atrialbypodcast. This is going to fuck me up not having my mouse.
I was going to clear my throat, but you don't want to hear me do that.
I'm Kelsey.
I'm Emily.
And today I am sharing the story of Max DeVries, a 14-year-old boy who disappeared while jet skiing with a stranger that his family met on vacation in Aruba in 2004. Now, authorities initially ruled Max's loss as a tragic accident, but the man's account of what happened on the water that day raised suspicions for the DeVries family immediately, when it was later revealed that the man had a very troubling past and criminal record. The family became convinced that Max's disappearance was not accidental, but a deliberate act. So, was it truly a tragic accident at sea, as the officials claimed, or is there a more sinister reality behind Max's fate?
But this is a Trial by podcast, so we'll let you be the judge.
Smashed it. First time.
One and done.
So, I don't think we have a lot of businessy to get into today, except that make sure wherever you are listening to give us a 5-star rating if you're enjoying the podcast. Because again, I can see how many people listen to the podcast every week, and the number of 5-star ratings we have in comparison to how many people listen.
You guys are slacking.
You guys are slacking. Come on.
Sorry to
be
you.
pushy, but
I'm talking to you. If you're like, oh shit,
you're
I've
like,
been
oh, is
listening
that
for
me?
weeks and I haven't given them a rating. I'm talking to you.
Right. Now, if you don't love the podcast, it's okay too, but maybe you don't have to give us a rating if you don't love it. I don't mean to be pushy, but that kind of stuff really does help us, especially when we're I'm trying to find like some other pods to collaborate with that are around the same like level as us, same amount of listeners and stuff. So it's like beneficial for them and for us, but it's really hard to tell because you can't see how many people are listening to other podcasts. All you can see is how many ratings they have.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway. But yeah, I think with that, we're going to get into the story. And I do want to give a quick content warning because today's story will include mentions of domestic violence and child sexual assault as well. And then obviously, like I said in the intro, we're talking about a 14-year-old boy who is presumed to be deceased. So this is a child case. Now, last and final note before we actually get into the story is just a quick note on sources. So like I always say, I always use a variety of sources, but whenever I use like one big main source that has given me a large portion of the story, I always want to give like a special shout out to that. And this was definitely one of those cases, because if you start Googling about this case, there's really only a few articles that you can find online. Also, Emily's sick right now.
If you can't hear my voice, it sounds like a man. I'm very under the weather, like 6 feet deep under the weather. So I got my medicine ball tea from Starbucks and I made it.
And that's how dedicated Emily is to you guys.
You know it.
She's here even though she's sick, and we really appreciate her. And if you hear running upstairs, don't worry. It's just my 1-year-old nephew running around. It's not anything bad happening.
He's got wheels on now. He
can
fully run and walk.
He's quick nowadays. Yeah, like I said, with this case, like there's not a ton of like articles and stuff written about this case. And as we go through the story, you'll start to see why. So a lot of the information that I took from one of the main things, I guess, was there's a show on HBO Max. It's called Never Seen Again. And there's 2 episodes about Max's case. It's season 5 and it's episodes 1 and 2. They're titled Nightmare in Paradise, and they cover Max's case. That's the most in-depth source that I found. So a lot of this storyline I'm going to talk about is, from that documentary. And they interview Max's mother, Yvonne, and, his sister, Dominique, and a lot of people involved. So I just wanted to give a special shout out to those. And then there's also another show I found. Sorry, the first one, The Never Seen Again, was on Paramount Plus. That was my bad. But there's a second show on HBO Max that's a little bit shorter called Still a Mystery. And I also used Max's episode from that as one of the main sources. So I just wanted to give credit where credit is due. And I wanted to give a special thank you to Max's mother, Yvonne. So she actually reached out to me on TikTok and asked if I could cover Max's case in TikTok videos. And I told her about the podcast and said we would love to cover it and try and help get Max's story out there. So thank you to Yvonne for reaching out, because I know that, she's really the driving force behind trying to get some media attention, because spoiler alert, as of right now, Max's case is no one's doing anything about it. No one's looking into it. It's sitting on a shelf in an FBI office somewhere. And what she really wants to come out of, getting some media attention from it is she wants the FBI to reactivate the investigation into what happened to Max. And trust me, guys, when you hear this story, you will be enraged by the end of it, because to me, it's just so obvious what happened. And it's just like, why isn't anyone doing anything about it? So yeah, thank you to Yvonne, and let's get into the story then. So Max DeVries was born on April 18th, 1990 to parents George and Yvonne DeVries. Less than 3 years later, Max's little sister Dominique was born, and the family could have been just like a poster for the American dream. George was a strategic asset manager for Dunkin' Donuts, and if you can't tell by the job title, this meant that the family was very, very financially secure, to say the least. They were doing well.
Wait, his job title was Sam?
Sam, yeah. Strategic asset manager. And I don't even fully understand what that means. Strategic
sounds like a marketing role. Like
Yeah.
a high up marketing role.
Yeah, it's high up for sure.
Yeah.
I can tell that.
Like CFO, but
Maybe
Sam.
that should be my like career trajectory. Like what I'm working towards is to be a Sam. Yeah.
Love that for you.
Now, Yvonne was and still is, you'll see if you watch those documentaries, you'll see it. She's just a gorgeous woman. And you can just tell by the way she speaks about her family. Like she's just an extremely loving mother and, was a loving wife. And the pair just had their 2 beautiful children to enjoy life with. Their family just seemed like, the picture perfect family that you picture in your mind when you're like younger and you're like, oh, I can't wait to, get married and have a family one day. This is what you want to have. And the family was really close. They often bonded together by going out on their sailboat all the time, which what a life. I love that. And all four of them just loved being out on the water. Like that was their family thing. That was their thing to do together. That was what they bonded over. They would just go sailing in the sun, just laugh, enjoy each other's company, and have a great time. And the water was really just always their happy place. Now, according to Yvonne, Max had always been somewhat of an old soul, even as a kid. He was a deep thinker with extreme curiosity, and he always wanted to understand how things worked. She told Jennifer Eberbach of Livingston Daily that as a kid, Max would tear apart computers just to see what's inside. Now, I'm hoping that, assuming that he would then put the computer back together and it was all okay. But
that's how every great engineer is born.
Exactly. It's funny. This guy that I work with, he's high up in my company, an engineer, and he's just one of those people that you meet him and he's really, really inspiring to work with because you can just tell he's such a smart guy. He's got really big ideas. I love working with him. And I remember we went to dinner one night and he was telling us about how, when he was a kid, he would always get in trouble because he would break apart their electronics to see how it worked and try and put them back together. And
he couldn't.
He's like, the older I got, the more I was able to put them back together. But sometimes when I was really young, I couldn't. And so I just think that goes to show that Max was a smart kid and, could have brought a lot of value to the world.
Yeah.
Now, his depth and his curiosity about the world, it wasn't just inward. It wasn't just about what he could understand and figure it out and all of that. It was outward as well. In middle school, Max was known to be very outgoing and he had a ton of friends and just overall was a very happy and very social kid. But sadly, this happiness that not only Max found, but that the family found together was tested when the unimaginable happened to the DeVries family. On November 10th, 2002, Max's dad, George, passed away unexpectedly from a heart attack, leaving Yvonne to raise their devastated children alone. It was just one of those things where it was so sudden, no one saw it coming, and he just, had a heart attack and passed away, and it's not like he was sick beforehand or anything like that. So sadly, Max, who was just a happy kid, and this happy family was absolutely devastated. I can't even imagine because they're young at this point. This is a young family. George was young for something like that to happen. So Yvonne was left to just do what she could on her own to give her kids a normal childhood or as normal as possible. She wanted to give them happy memories of their childhood, all while missing George in the meantime. In 2004, just 18 months after George passed away, Yvonne decided it was time for the family to go on vacation, so the three headed to Aruba on May 7th, 2004. They had gone there many times before as a family with George. Like I said before, their happy place was on the water together, and their vacation destination was Aruba, on the water. That was what they did together, and that's one of the things that they looked forward to doing every year, so she was just trying to make it special for the kids, and she wanted this trip to just celebrate everything that they had gone through as a family and how strong they've been since losing George, while also celebrating George's life and the great memories that they had in Aruba with him. Now, alongside them on this trip was George's sister-in-law, Pat, who had been a rock for the family since they lost George. So we've got Pat, Yvonne, Dominique, who is Max's little sister. I believe she's 3 years younger than Max, and then of course Max. At the time of the trip, Max was 14 and Dominique was 12. The family stayed at a large resort on the north shore of the island called La Cabana. It was a family-style resort with a big pool for the kids to play in, restaurants, a beach, game areas, and more. Now, the kids spent the first day of the trip swimming in the pool, playing and making friends with the other kids. And Yvonne said it was just nice to see them just playing, relaxing, having a good time, and just to hear them laugh again and see them smile again. It was something that, for her was kind of a moment where it seemed like, okay, maybe things are finally starting to get a little bit better. Now, at one point, Max wanted to play pool, as in billiards pool, not swimming pool. And there were a bunch of pool tables that were near one of the hotel restaurants. So Max went in and he kind of was just looking for people to play pool with him. And he ended up playing with a man that he met by the pool tables, who, according to Yvonne, looked to be in his mid-30s.
Empower your business or digital agency with Bluehost, trusted by over 5 million WordPress users globally. Bluehost features top-to-bottom hosting optimizations designed specifically for WordPress, giving you 24/7 access to a team of experts for support, plus thousands of WordPress help articles. So if you want to streamline WordPress website creation with intuitive controls and premium support, choose Bluehost, powering over 2 million websites worldwide.
Ford Pro FinSimple offers flexible financing solutions for all kinds of businesses, whether you're an electrician or run an organic farm. Because we know that your business demands financing that works when you need it, like when your landscaping company lands a new account. Wherever you see your business headed, Ford Pro FinSimple can help you pursue it with financing solutions today. Get started at fordpro.com/financing.
I just want to go back to, does anyone say, let's go play pool and mean swimming?
Well, I just say that.
Using that. You want to go play pool?
As in billiards? Play pool? Yeah, to go
As in go swimming.
Well, the sentence before, I was like, they were playing at the pool all day, blah, 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 blah. And then I go to, so Max wanted to go play pool. And I'm like, I feel like that might be confusing for people who, we have listeners from other countries because we're so awesome. And I was like, I don't know if that will confuse them. So I was trying to explain. Sorry, sometimes I over-explain.
Let's go play pool, not swimming.
Have you seen those videos online? It's like, you want to play mermaids?
Yeah. You want to play George Washington?
Yeah. So apparently this guy that was playing pool with Max looked to be in his mid-30s. He was there on vacation with his adopted father, who looked to be in his 50s. Now, I was able to find the names of these men online, but in every TV show documentary I watched, no one used their names. And I assume that is for legal reasons. And, I think Paramount Plus has a better legal team than my non-existent one. So I am going to follow their lead and not use their names.
So is this his stepdad?
It's his adopted dad. This guy adopted him as a kid. So Max is playing pool with this guy, and the guy's in his mid-30s. We're going to refer to him as the younger guy.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to use the names when the TV shows don't use their names. I assume that's for legal reasons, and I don't want to get sued or anything like that. Sorry. So this younger guy, he's in his mid-30s, and he is there in Aruba on vacation with his dad. Now, this is not his biological dad. This man adopted him when he was a child. So there's a guy in his mid-30s who was adopted by the dad who's in his mid-50s. So we're going to refer to them as the older man and the younger man.
Okay.
And if you ever get confused which one I'm talking about, just ask me to clarify.
Okay.
But I think I do a pretty good job in the script, at least, of saying the older guy and the younger guy. This guy's there on vacation with this adopted father who is in his 50s. So while Max played pool with the younger guy, Yvonne and Pat sat watching and just chatting with the older guy, just kind of shooting the shit. And it sounds like Pat was around the same age as the older guy. So they kind of had some things in common that they could just kind of, gab about a little bit while Max is playing, And
they were yapping.
Yeah. And we're going to get into it. I already know that there's going to be some criticism from listeners, and especially on TikTok, because TikTok is insane when I post videos about this. This is normal, though. I feel like this is normal to go on vacation and you meet people and become friends with them. Mm-hmm. I find it a little unusual because these men didn't have kids with them, but he was just playing pool and the kid was like, will you play pool with me? And he's like, yeah, And
I can see that.
So in hindsight, you're going to look at this and be like, yeah, these guys are odd. And hindsight is 2020. That's all I want to say. But this
also,
family
you're on vacation.
has been,
I feel like when you're on vacation, you're like, everyone's here to have the same amount of fun as me.
Yeah, your guard's down a little bit for sure. And I just want to remind everybody, I'm just getting ahead of it before you even start having your thoughts in your head about this, is that this family has been through an unimaginable nightmare. And hindsight is 2020, and they can see hindsight and they can see where they've made mistakes, and they don't need you to tell them about that. Mm-hmm. So I just want to put that out there.
It's not going to make any difference. No.
I always want to look at these stories and think about what we can learn from them so we can better protect ourselves and our children and our loved ones. But we don't need to shame other people to do it. So I just want to put that out there.
Keep your thoughts to yourself.
Yeah, inside thoughts stay inside your brain, okay?
I feel like with my raspy voice, my Boston accent is so much more believable.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you have a really good Boston accent. I can't do it. So anyway, the older guy had explained to Pat and Yvonne that he had adopted the younger guy when he was very young, and that the reason that they were on vacation was to celebrate the anniversary of the adoption, which kind of makes sense. You're like, oh, that's kind of nice. Now, over casual conversation, the older man asked Yvonne what they had all planned for their trip, and she told them that they had some plans to go parasailing the next day. And the older man basically tells Yvonne that, oh, that sounds so fun. Like, I feel like we'd really like that. Can we come with you guys? And Yvonne's like, yeah, sure. I don't see why not. So the next day, the DeVries met the two men where the boat was waiting to take them out for the parasailing trip. And the group went out. They spent a good portion of the day on the boat together, parasailing and basking in the sun, and overall, like, just having a great time. And it was fun to have like some other new people with them to do something new with. Now, when they returned to shore, everyone was hungry, so they all headed to the hotel pool and they sat and ate pizza together. While eating, the younger man told them that he was going to go jet skiing that afternoon. And he invited Max along if it was okay with his mom. He's like, look, I'm going to go jet skiing. You're a 14-year-old kid. I think you're going to like this. If your mom says it's okay, you can come jet skiing with me. Now, Yvonne could tell that Max really wanted to go because he's like kind of asking Yvonne for her permission, but he's asking directly in front of Max. So it's like...
He's like, you can't say no.
That's like parenting 101. Don't ask in front of the kid.
Yeah.
Because now you already got my kid all excited. It's really hard to say no once your kid's like, Mom, can I please go? I really want to go.
I wonder if he like did that on purpose.
Oh, 100%. 100% we are going to see. So she lets him. She's like, okay, you can go. And so she goes, signs him up and pays for everything. And Max went off on the jet skis with this guy. And they go on, I think it was like a 45-minute or an hour jet ski ride. Just the two of them. And they come back safe and sound. And when they returned, Max was just like raving about how fun it was. And they had the best time. And
because
jet
skis are awesome, dude.
Because jet skis are awesome. Now, so at this point, I just want to go back through what has happened so far. They played pool together and hung out the one night. The next day, the entire family plus the two men went parasailing together, came back. Everyone had a great time. They ate lunch together, had pizza by the pool, and then Max and the young guy went jet skiing alone, just the two of them. They came back and Max was like, it was awesome. I had a great time. So what is happening here is that they're getting to know these guys better, and these guys are showing the family that they're trustworthy.
Yeah, they're building trust for sure.
Yvonne trusted Max with the younger guy to go on the jet skis with the younger guy, and he came back safe and sound. He had a great time. Not a scratch was on him. All was well. They went together parasailing, like another dangerous activity. There's like guides and stuff on that. And of course, Yvonne and Pat were like with the kids that time and
they
everything.
weren't like fully by themselves.
But I really want to stress that at this point, they've really gained a lot of trust from this family.
Well, yeah, they're like, oh, we just met our new lifelong best friends.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, we met another family on vacation. It was a couple with kids that were similar ages to like me and my brother.
Yeah.
So we were playing with their kids, and then our parents were like hanging out. I get it. It's a little bit different, and it is a little bit more odd that these men are there and they don't have kids with them. You can see how it started small. It's not like she just let Max go off with them day one. She had spent an entire day with them, you know?
Yeah.
At this point, they're no longer strangers. They're acquaintances. They're new acquaintances, but it's not like full strangers.
And I'm sure she probably was thinking the same thing everybody else is. Should I let my kid go with these two guys that we just met on vacation?
Right, but like after you spent the better
full,
portion
like, at
of
least
2 days
24 hours with them, yeah.
Right. So the following day, after they go on the parasailing trip and then jet skiing the one day, the very next day, which was May 12th, the family decided that they were just going to hang out at the pool for the day. Like they just wanted to relax at the pool. They didn't want to do all these activities. So then while the kids were swimming, the older man approached Yvonne and told her basically like, the boys made jet skiing sound so fun yesterday. I kind of like regret not going. And now I want to go. But my son doesn't want to go with me. Do you think Max would want to go with me? And again, he asks her in front of Max.
So then he's like, oh, please, please, please. Like, I had so much fun yesterday.
Yes, exactly. And Yvonne was like, you know what? Thank you for the offer, but he already went yesterday. He doesn't need to go again today.
Hell yeah.
And you have to
Yvonne.
think, like, going jet skiing is expensive. And that's probably what this older man was thinking, because he even offers to pay for Max to go. And so Yvonne's still like, that's really, really nice of you, but I just don't think he needs to go again. But of course, like I said, because he's asking right in front of Max,
then Max is obviously like,
he's begging.
what are you doing? Yeah, like he's offering to pay for me.
He's like, Mom, there's no reason I can't go. He's going to pay for it. Just let me go, type of thing. And eventually, Yvonne caved and she agreed to let Max go for a 45-minute jet ski ride with the older man. And the 45 minutes came and went, but Max and the man did not return. Now, Yvonne stayed patient, understanding that they had to return life jackets and, you know, all of that, like once you come out of the water. But as minute after minute passed, Yvonne began to get more and more nervous. It had been too long. There was no way it would have taken this long for them to return. And at this point, she started to get that like pit in your stomach type of feeling.
Like, oh, fuck. Like
something is wrong.
Yeah,
something bad is happening.
Where was the younger guy? Were they like together hanging out?
We
while the
don't
older guy
know
was
where
there?
the younger guy was.
Oh.
No, when he came to ask if Max could go on the jet ski, it was just the older guy.
Oh, so the younger guy wasn't even with him. Okay.
No, not from the way that I've heard the story told. I'm 90% sure that the younger guy was not with him. And it does become a contentious point in the story where there's a lot of debate about what the younger guy was doing while they were on the jet skis.
Okay.
And really, we don't know for sure, but I've got an inkling.
Doing something suspicious, you ask me.
Now, at some point, Yvonne was like, okay, something's wrong. And she decided it was time to head down to the beach to find them. As she walked along the shoreline, though, she began to realize that something definitely was not right. She noticed a man who worked for the jet ski rental company waiting in the water, looking out at the ocean through binoculars, almost as if he was searching for something. So Yvonne approached the man and asked if he had seen Max and the older guy. She's like, hey, my son went out with this guy. They're supposed to be back. Do you have any idea where they are? And the man told her that they hadn't returned yet. And that's why he was out there with the binoculars. They were looking for them. They're like, why aren't these people back yet?
So this wasn't his personal jet ski. It was like a rental.
Yeah,
from the beach.
it was a rental company, just like on the beach by the hotel.
Are they not concerned that this is like guy's taking this rental way farther past the rent time?
No, they are. That's why they're looking for them.
Okay.
I think they're concerned that something bad has happened too.
Okay.
And that was like Yvonne's, first confirmation
Like,
that
my feelings are valid. Like, this is not right.
Right, exactly. Now, this pretty much just sent Yvonne into a full panic. She found Dominique and explained that she didn't know what happened, but Max and the man were missing. Yvonne then ran inside the hotel and demanded to speak with the manager, explaining that her son was not only missing, but was missing on the water. The hotel manager asked Yvonne who had gone jet skiing with Max, and she gave the name of the older gentleman to the manager and explained that he was there with the younger guy too. So she's like, Max is out on the jet ski with old man, and he is here on vacation with young man, blah, 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 blah. I need you to find these guys.
Like she gave them as much detail as possible.
Right. So the manager told her that he was going to go look for the younger guy in the hotel room and that he would be back. Now, I don't know if the manager himself actually went to the room, but I do know that hotel staff went to the room looking for the young man because remember, this whole time they're out on the jet skis, Yvonne and Dominique and Pat, they're out at the pool. So they know the younger man's not out there.
Yeah.
So the hotel staff goes to his room and they're just banging on this guy's door, like knocking on his door repeatedly. He never comes to the door, almost as if no one was in the room. Because this is an emergency.
Yeah.
Because not only is Max missing, but the older man's missing. So they're
Yeah,
banging
as far as
on
they
this
know,
door.
they're like, your dad's gone. Like,
Hey, your dad's missing at sea. He's lost at sea right now.
Yeah.
And they're banging on. So I really don't think it's like they just knocked a couple times, like softly, and they're like, oh, he didn't answer.
they're like, hey, it's an emergency. Open up.
Right. So meanwhile, while hotel staff is going out to find the young man, Yvonne rushed back to the beach to try and figure out what was going on. Not long after she arrived there, she was told that someone had been rescued from the water, but they didn't know who it was. So they're like, they found someone out there. They found someone out there. But she's asking, was it my son or is it the man? And they're like, we don't know yet. Now, around the same time that she receives this news on the beach, the younger man shows up on the beach.
Dude, the rage I would fucking feel. Like, where the fuck have you been? Where's your goddamn dad?
100%. Because he just shows up on the beach, but the
like
hotel
nothing
staff,
happened?
But he never answered the door to the hotel staff. So it's not like the hotel staff finally got him to open the door and they're like, you have to come to the beach right now. Your dad's lost his seat.
Yeah, he was just magically there.
He just happened to be there.
Interesting.
Now,
after everybody's been looking for him, okay.
Exactly what you said. Yvonne is like, where have you been?
Yeah.
What have you been doing? Where have you been? People have been looking for you. And he tells her that he had been in the room, passed out.
No way.
Passed out.
Would you take like 80 melatonins, dude?
Yeah, in the middle of the day.
Or some other hardcore drug to make you not hear them banging out? I'm sure that they weren't just like, hello, anybody, and like, sorry to disturb you. I feel like they should have, if it was really an emergency, couldn't they have like opened his hotel room door? Or is there like a law against that or something?
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? Like if it was that big of an emergency,
That's a really good
couldn't
point.
they go in there?
Yeah, maybe. But maybe they were still gone. But at this point,
they didn't know
it's
if
not
that guy
like it
had
had been
anything to do with
5
it.
hours. It was just, I don't know exactly how long, but I would say probably less than an hour past their time that they were supposed to be back. So maybe they were just thinking that.
So like maybe to them it wasn't like that big.
Like maybe they stole the jet skis, or they were like, screw the timing thing. Like we'll just come back whenever we want and like pay extra.
For a joyride.
I don't know. That's a really good point though. I hadn't thought about that. But anyway.
Yeah, because like where the fuck has he been?
He says he was in the room sleeping. He was passed out. I call bullshit too. Now, sadly, when the rescuers arrived to shore with the person they had rescued, and again, this is like 10 minutes after the young guy shows back up on the beach, okay? I just want to really stress this timing. They find someone in the water. They tell Yvonne, we found someone in the water. We don't know who it is. As soon as they tell her that, the young guy appears. Right after they found somebody in the water, okay? I don't know where in the water he was found.
Was he maybe on the beach the entire time and was like, oh, who'd they find? Or
were the two men off somewhere together?
Oh.
And then he was like, okay, it's time. You got to go be found in the water, and I need to go be looking for you on the beach because you're missing. This is conjecture. This is all in my head. I'm imagining this,
maybe,
okay? But it's just very odd timing. It's very odd timing. And when the rescuers arrived to shore with the person they had rescued, it was not Max that was with them. It was indeed the older man. Now, Yvonne immediately approached the man and asked him, "Where's Max?" And the man responded, "He's still out there," saying he's still out there on the water.
Okay, sir, what happened?
Well, Yvonne told the producers of Still a Mystery that the older man said that he and Max jet skied out to a sandbar that she believes was about 6 miles out from the beach, which is
weird.
Far.
And
for
weird.
a 45-minute round,
And weird. Why are you taking a 14-year-old boy to a random sandbar?
Weird. So when Max had gone out the previous day, it's alleged that Max and the younger guy had taken the jet skis out to the sandbar. And so Max and the older guy were going to do the same thing. But again, it's just like 6 miles out. The way Yvonne stated it, she said, I believe it was about 6 miles out from the beach. So I don't think she measured it with a map or whatever. So maybe that's a little bit off, but still miles out seems far for a young kid.
Yeah.
It seems far for me. Miles out into the ocean too.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Now, when they got there, he says that they got off the jet skis to hang out on the sandbar for a little bit. The man told Yvonne that when they went to start the jet skis to head back, they wouldn't start.
Jet skis? Was there two?
They had 2 jet skis.
Oh, okay. I thought that Max was on the same jet skis.
No. Sorry.
Oh,
Both times, to my knowledge,
they took 2 jet skis.
2 jet skis each time. So Max was never on the same jet skis with the other guys.
Okay.
Max had his own jet ski that they rented.
And then they went to start them to leave and they both wouldn't start?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
How convenient.
Neither one would start.
How convenient. Maybe it's because there's no fucking gas in it. From the 6 miles they fucking went to the sandbar.
That's actually a solid point. I was like, how would neither one of them start? But what are the odds that both of them would be at
the same time?
Yeah.
I mean...
But it's not like they were riding them and they ran out. It's like they got there, they turned them off, and he's saying that they wouldn't turn back on.
Interesting.
So unless you literally don't know how to start it, but at this point, Max has started it like 3 separate times.
Yeah, don't you have to just turn a key and hit a button to start them?
Yeah, I feel like
jet ski I've been on.
Right. So this is what the man is saying. He's saying that they tried to turn the jet skis on, but they wouldn't start. So he said that Max got in the water and was trying to tie the jet skis together so they wouldn't float apart from each other.
Smart, because he's a pre-engineer.
Exactly. Now, while trying to tie them up, the man said that he heard a thump, and when he looked over, Max was floating away.
Okay.
Yvonne then asked the man, so what, you didn't try to go after him? And the man told her no, he didn't.
What?
So I have a lot of fucking questions for this man.
That sounds like a bold-faced lie he
first
just
of
told
all,
her.
why is the 14-year-old boy the one trying to tie the jet skis together? Why aren't you doing that? You're a grown-ass man in your 50s. Why is the 14-year-old boy doing the problem solving right now? Because if that's true, which I think it's kind of BS, personally, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
It sounds very unlikely that neither jet ski would start. But if that were true, you are in a bad scenario because you are 6 miles out from shore.
On a fucking sandbar those go away at high tide, don't they?
Yeah, I think so.
They're not always.
I don't know, honestly, like when it would have or like how deep it was or anything like that.
Yeah.
But like you're in a bad scenario. Now you're the adult and you are with a child who is not your child, but you are responsible for him.
Yep.
Because you could see if waves are coming, being in the water right next to the jet skis trying to tie them together could be dangerous. Why is the kid doing that? The kid should be sitting on a jet ski and you should be doing that.
What was he actually doing? Because he's saying that he's just standing away from the jet skis and then he hears a thud.
I think he's also in the water because the way that it sounded like when they were explaining it was that he couldn't really see Max because like Max maybe was on the other side of the jet skis or something.
Okay.
Because now obviously I don't know for sure just because he didn't give a lot of detail. The reason that I think that is just because he says, well, I just heard a thump and then when I looked over, Max was floating away from me.
Okay.
So like
I'm picturing he's in the water on one side and then Max is on the other side.
That's how I'm picturing it.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but that's like the only way that makes sense to me that you would just hear the thump without seeing what happened.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, this is the other thing. So Max is floating away from you. Why on planet Earth would you not go after him? Especially if you heard a thump. And he doesn't explain.
He just says no.
He just says, no, I didn't go after him. And it's, I'm sure it's a little bit chaotic of a scene because he's telling Yvonne this, like, while they're on the beach.
Yeah. And I'm sure everybody's like, where the fuck have you been, dude?
Yeah. But he doesn't explain even later on, or at least I couldn't find anywhere that he explained. When he was floating away from you, did you even say, hey, come back? Or are you saying he was passed out and floating away from you?
Yeah, like,
or
hey,
what?
are you okay? What happened?
We just don't know. I can't find anything explaining it.
Nobody said why did you not do that?
Well, you would think that the investigators would be asking these questions, but we're about to get to that.
Because maybe that's their job. I don't know.
Dude, these authorities?
Yeah, why would you think that? It's because their job.
Oh my God. So she also noticed while she was speaking with the man that he had scratches on his neck and on his hands, like his hands and arms, like the back of his hands and like his forearms that were not there before they left to go out on the jet skis.
I mean, if I saw that, it'd be like one of two things. It's either you fell into some coral only on your hands and your neck, or two, those are from fingernails of my 14-year-old son who mysteriously is not around anymore.
I think you have a good thought, and I want you to remember those two options that you just gave to me. Okay. Those are the only two that you can think of, right? Same here, but...
Unless he, like, ran through a fucking tree with a jet ski. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how else.
I just asked because later on we are going to get to a point where he tries to say what the scratches were from.
I can't wait to hear what he says.
We'll get there. So he's got these scratches. And about these scratches, Yvonne told the producers from Still a Mystery, that TV show on HBO Max I mentioned. She said, quote, being a girl, I've been in many fights. Those were scratch marks, and I knew that they were, end quote.
Dude, mic drop, Yvonne.
Snaps for Yvonne. she was like, don't mess with me.
Yeah, she's not.
Those were
like,
scratches
I'm not
from
a fucking
nails.
idiot. I've been in a cat fight before, and that looks like defensive wounds.
It made me chuckle when she said that because like me and Emily are into auras now. We've literally learned nothing about them. We just like to make up our own stuff about auras.
I told somebody, a couple episodes ago, I was like...
Pink, you were saying Betty Gore's aura was
her
pink.
aura, yeah.
But Yvonne's aura, like the energy she gives off is just like so loving and maternal and sweet. Like when you watch her interviews, that when she was like, I've been in a cat fight, I was like, hell yeah, girl. High five.
What color do you think her aura is?
I have no idea.
I'm between like orange and purple.
That sounds good to me. I don't know what the colors mean.
Whatever you want, neither do I.
Now, soon after the older man was brought back in, the police wanted everyone to like go down to the station to answer some questions and I think just kind of reconvene on like what needs to be done because obviously Max is still missing. So they asked Yvonne to come down to the station. While they went down to the station to answer questions, the Aruban authorities actually performed what was at the time the most extensive water search that had ever been done in Aruba. They had boats, helicopters, anyone and everyone was out and they were looking for Max.
I mean, yeah, I just want to see how much water they got around there. Wow, okay, that's a lot of water then.
A lot of water, 360.
That's a lot of water.
It's a 360.
Holy shit. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't think I ever realized how small Aruba was.
So when they got down to the station, Yvonne asked them, hey, he's got scratches all over him. I want you to swab underneath his fingernails to see like what's under his nails.
Yeah.
It's something like that. She also asked them to do a lie detector test because she's like, look, that doesn't make any sense. Why would he not go after Max if he's floating away?
Well, that and I would also have them test his scratches too, right?
All of this. And she's asking these questions. She's asking all of the right questions.
She's pretty much telling them what to do and it's their jobs.
Yes, exactly.
But like, I mean, she knows what needs done, not as her being like a Karen and
no.
You need to do this, but like,
If
well,
there's
don't you do
situation-
this and don't you need to do this?
If there's one situation that you should be a Karen in, it is when your child goes missing.
100%. But like, she shouldn't have had to ask them to do these things. They should have already been doing them.
Right. And you know what they say when she asked them?
Did they say they already did it?
They said no. They said no. This isn't America.
Oh,
we don't do that kind of stuff here.
Oh, I would give them...
Do your job?
I would give them every single middle finger and middle toe that I had.
And middle toe. When she said that on the documentary, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
What'd she say when they...
What a slap
my
in the
jaw would
face.
have dropped to the floor if they said that. A 14-year-old boy, regardless if he's American or Aruban, that sounds like a sandwich, but...
Aruban.
They're pretty much like, yeah, we don't care.
My heart breaks for Yvonne. It really does, because you always want to think that if something like this, God forbid, happens to you, that there are people who know what they're doing and their job is to help you. They're literally their job.
That's their career. That's what they chose to do with their life.
All they do... I know like with the Natalie Holloway case and stuff, there's a lot of sensitivity around Aruba and the tourism. And, you know, I'm not hating on Aruba or whatever. I'm just saying the authorities, and not just Aruban authorities, it does become U.S. authorities at one point. All they do is fail this woman.
It's really discouraging.
Makes me very angry.
It's very discouraging because, I mean, that's what you're told from a very young age, if not like when you come out of the womb, is that police are supposed to be there for you.
If you're white, that's what you're told from a very young age. True. You would hope that they're going to help
like,
you, and
what are
they
you
don't.
supposed to do when you're in trouble? Call 911.
Right. Exactly. They just fail her time after time after time. Now, even in the moment, Yvonne is just trying to stay calm despite the fact that they're just basically slapping her in the face. Like, we're not going to do all that. And this is, again, just my opinion. What it seems like is they think this is a tragic accident and he's drowning and she's being dramatic because she's grieving. And they're assuming that this guy has nothing to do with it. But that is literally your job, is to not work off assumptions. It's to let all the facts come to you. And one of the ways that you would do that is gathering the facts by swabbing under the fingernails and doing a lie detector test, like she said. Still, Yvonne's just trying to stay calm because her 12-year-old daughter, who just lost her father a year and a half earlier, is now standing by waiting for them to find her missing brother. So Yvonne's just like trying to keep her cool to not terrify her daughter.
Yeah.
Now, on May 15th, 2004, just days after Max disappeared, the police came to the hotel and told Yvonne that they were calling off the search for Max.
For how long? Wait, how long was it?
This was, I believe it was only 3 days later.
Okay.
Now, granted, this was the most extensive search they had ever done in Aruba, like on the water and everything. And there is a point where, you know, if someone is lost at sea, like off a boat or something, like you said, there's so much ocean out there. How long can they really search for before, you know, it's detrimental to all of the other things that, that they could be working on?
Yeah.
And I do understand that. But they just tell her, we're calling it off.
After 3 days, though? I don't know.
I agree. Now, they told her that it was just a tragic jet ski accident and that Max was lost at sea and his body would never be recovered.
That's what they're just gathering because they couldn't find him?
Yeah.
Not this guy that has defensive wounds and no backstory, can't explain what happened at all.
Absolute insanity. It is absolute insanity. I understand thinking that he was lost at sea. I do. But when you then hear this man saying he was just floating away, and we're going to get into the statements that he actually gave to police in just a few minutes, there is evidence that something else happened here.
Yeah.
And they're choosing to ignore it because they don't have a body. So it's going to be a very difficult case for them to solve. That's my opinion of what happened here, is that they are choosing to ignore the evidence that something else happened because it was going to be difficult.
100%. Side question. You might have already mentioned this, but were the two guys from America?
Yes, they're from, I believe they're from Chicago, and Max's family is from Michigan. So after being told this, Yvonne, Pat, and Dominique flew home to Michigan without Max. Seated behind them on their flight out of Aruba was the father and son duo that had caused Max to disappear from their lives. At one point during the flight, the older man had the audacity to ask Yvonne if he could send her flowers on the anniversary of Max's disappearance. That, in my opinion, he may have
the hottest coffee they had on the airline and chuck it at his face.
I would have too. Yvonne was just dumbfounded. She said that like she just remembers staring back at him silently, like with a blank stare, just flabbergasted.
Like, are you fucking kidding me, dude?
Yes.
Because you could have been the least helpful in finding my son, who was your responsibility for 45 minutes.
I'd be like, you know what? You can send me some swabs of under your fingernails and
you
your
know
scratches.
You can send me your fucking full confession of what happened to my son.
Exactly.
That's what you could do for me.
Exactly. You can tell me why you didn't go after him and give me a detailed account.
Yeah, if you really want to send me flowers, just put a detailed story on the card for me. That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, for real. Now, Dominique was sitting in the window seat, and she basically just sat there looking out the window at the ocean, realizing that her brother was somewhere in that water and would never be coming home with them again. 12 years old.
That's so traumatizing.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. The holidays are here, and you know what that means. It's time to get your friends and family the gifts they deserve. Take the stress out of shopping with Amazon's great deals and low prices on a huge range of items from toys to tech and much more. Whoever you're gifting for, Amazon has great prices on everything you need this holiday season. Shop Black Friday week starting November 21st.
Bombas presents unsolicited gifting advice. Number 1, if they say not to get them anything, get them something. 2, underwear is a great gift, just not for your boss. And 3, those absurdly soft Bombas socks and slippers you've been eyeing for yourself, they'll love those. And the fact that for every item you purchase, another is donated to someone who needs it, they'll love that even more.
Go to bombas.com/Spotify and use code Spotify for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/Spotify, code Spotify.
On the flight home, Yvonne listened to Max's favorite songs the whole way, just hoping to feel his energy there in some way. She told the Paramount Plus documentary, quote, "The water became completely different after that trip. Something that found our family so much happiness took away and brought so much sadness. We got home and nothing was ever the same," end quote.
That's sad. I mean, the ocean's already a scary place enough.
And it was like where they
your
bonded
son.
with their dad. That was all of their best memories with George were on the sailboat on the water. And that was like the one good thing that they could remember as like their family being whole and being together was on the boat. And now it's all tainted because anytime you're thinking about being on the boat, you're thinking about water and wondering where Max is.
Yeah.
Now, Max was eventually given a tombstone next to his father's grave that read Max W. DeVries, April 18th, 1990 to May 12th, 2004, lost at sea, which,
Knife
you know,
through
and
the
there's
heart,
not even
man.
a body with, you know. Now, just about a year after Max's disappearance, another American teen went missing in Aruba. However, unlike Max's case, the search for 18-year-old Natalie Holloway and investigation into her disappearance garnered worldwide attention. At the time, you could not turn on the news in the United States without seeing a story about Natalie Holloway. Now, I want you to imagine being Yvonne, watching all of this news coverage about Natalie, which, by the way, was 100% deserved. I'm very glad that Natalie Holloway's case got all of that coverage. So imagine being Yvonne watching all of this, just sitting there wondering, why aren't they doing that for my child? Why does no one care that my son has vanished too? On the same island, you know, he's an American teen that vanished in Aruba, same story. Like, why aren't people fighting for me to get answers in the same way that they're fighting for Natalie's family? And like I said, you know, when I was researching this case, there's not a ton of articles out there.
Yeah.
Like, if I were to cover Natalie Holloway's case, I wouldn't even be able to read every single article. There's so much information out there. And it just goes to show you, it's like, well, it's because I think part of it is that authorities weren't even willing to admit that a crime may have occurred here.
Well, yeah, they chucked it up to, he hit his head and died at sea and he's gone forever now.
Right.
Just because that's what that old guy said.
Exactly. Around the same time, so this is like the summer of 2005. It's the year after Max disappeared. Yvonne got in touch with Detective Corey Williams, who was a Detroit metropolitan area detective. He's now retired, but he worked in the area from 1993 to 2019, and he specialized in child abductions and assault cases. So he was very experienced in, you know, violent crimes against children. That's what he did. And he even worked on the Oakland County child killings, which is a huge, like, serial offender case, and we may cover it at some point. But he was very, like, integral to that case. So, you know, if you're gonna have someone looking into what happened to your son, this guy is the guy.
Yeah, he'd make me feel pretty safe.
By the end of this, you're gonna love Corey. Corey is my fucking boy,
King
dude. King Corey. We love Corey. So Corey starts looking into Max's case. And the best place to start was he needed to know what the Aruban authorities had already done. So he obtained like different documents from Aruban authorities. And a lot of this was like the statements from Yvonne and from the men that were taken by Aruban authorities in the days after Max disappeared.
Dude, I can't imagine. I feel like if I was him, I'd be so fucking pissed. I'd be like, why did nobody take this seriously?
Oh, let me tell you, he realized very quickly. So this is the first thing that had Corey Williams on board that these men did something to Max. Okay. So when the older man gave his first statement to police immediately after he was recovered from the water, like, so the day that Max went missing, this is a quote from the statement he gave. He said, quote, "At a given moment, Max started swimming towards shore. He started swimming and I stayed back with the wave runners," end quote. So he had told Yvonne on the beach that he heard a thump and Max was floating away. Then that same afternoon, that same day that he told Yvonne that, he told police that Max was swimming towards the shore that he stayed back with the wave runners.
Does the police at this point know that he told that other story to Yvonne or no?
Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I have nothing to prove that they did. But they do get the opportunity to ask that question because 3 days later, the older man is brought in again to give another statement. And this is what he tells them this time, which is different. He says, 3 days later, he says, quote, "At that moment, I noticed that Max was no longer sitting on his wave runner, but I could not see him any longer either. I went around the wave runners to find him and saw that Max had let go of his wave runner. I called out to him, but he did not answer. After drifting calmly for about 20 minutes, I lost sight of Max. When I saw Max for the last time, he was floating very calmly, moved now and then, but did not try to swim. We did not have any eye contact, and we had not said anything to each other either. He was approximately 75 meters, which is about 80 yards, away from me," end quote. So
I have so many questions. So, like, you just were like, well, all right, you got better head back.
Apparently.
And have no fucking urgency whatsoever.
Yeah, why are you wanted this kid to go jet skiing with you. Why would you not be going after him?
So badly. He literally had to convince his mom that he would pay for him to get him to go with him.
It's just, I want to reiterate, because I know I just read like a long quote. He tells Yvonne on the beach that day, he just started floating. Yeah, I heard a thump and then he was floating away. Doesn't it really even explain what the fuck that means? Same day he tells Yvonne that, he tells police that he was swimming away from him. He was like, yeah, he was trying to swim to shore. But you just let him? You were like, yeah, just go ahead, kid. Like, swim to shore.
6 miles.
Then 3 days later, he goes back to the original story, saying that he says he was floating very calmly, moved now and then, but did not try to swim. So which one was it, sir? Was he swimming or was he floating? Because you said very clearly both ways.
I feel like none of those explain his behavior, though. Like, none of those give him the right to just leave him in the middle of the fucking ocean.
And that's the thing, is I couldn't find these original documents to see, like, I want to know, did the police catch that he had changed his story?
Yeah.
Did they ask him to clarify? I can't find the documents.
Well, yeah, because at this point, he's not only told Yvonne a different story than he told the police, he's told the police 2 different stories.
Right. And so after this, like you and me, Corey Williams was just like, these motherfuckers are lying.
Yeah.
That's not verbatim, but he did say that he
my
thought
lie radar is going off.
Yes. Now, Yvonne told Paramount Plus, quote, when Corey tells me that, my blood just ran so cold. I knew all along that something bad happened, end quote. So this is like Yvonne's first confirmation that these guys are sketchy. And, you know, ever since she saw those scratches and the way that he answered her questions so vaguely, she knew something was up. But this is like the first piece of evidence that shows you. To me, it seems very obvious, in my opinion, that this guy is fucking lying about something. But
also, like, all of the Aruban authorities that she's like, oh, well, they're the professionals, let me let them handle it. They're all saying, oh, yeah, he was missing at sea, there's nothing we can do. We don't see any foul play, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure she was just sitting with that information and like, this is wrong. But who do I tell this to?
I don't know what you do in that case.
You know, like she couldn't do anything.
And thank God for Corey Williams for being the one person to like really sit down and listen to her and like try and help her and try and guide her through this unimaginable. My heart breaks for her because
Me too.
No one wants to figure out what happened to her son. And to lose your son in such a horrible way, like we hear that every case we do. But then for no one to be looking for him and no one trying to figure out what happened to him and them just it was like
nobody,
blow you off.
Nobody was caring as much as she was to figure out what happened to him.
Now, Corey also noticed in the statements that the man seemed to be trying to explain the scratches on his hands and his neck that Yvonne had noticed, even though he wasn't even really being directly asked about them. So he had written in one of his statements, quote, finally, I would like to say that most of the bruises that I got are disappearing, and the wounds that I got were scrapes that I got while trying to climb onto the wave runner, end quote.
I mean, first of all,
go back to what you said.
Yeah.
We were like trying to imagine where you could get scratches on the back of your hands, your forearms, and your neck. And Emily said, I can picture 2 scenarios. You get scraped up by coral, which I think is, a plausible scenario, especially if you're getting off near a sandbar. It's shallow area. There might be coral around it.
And if you don't, I feel like some people don't know how fucking sharp coral can be.
Yeah, that shit'll fuck you up.
Oh, yeah.
It'll fuck you up.
Didn't you get fucked up?
Yes, I did. I got one time I was kayaking in Hawaii to these little islands called the Mokes. And basically we ended up going parallel to a wave and the wave flipped us over. We had 3 people in a 1-person kayak. And then we're all holding onto the kayak trying not to lose it. And then every time a wave would come, it would pull the kayak and we were just getting dragged across coral. Like I was all bloody and everything.
So it can do that to you, but
it can do that, but that's not what he says
your
happened.
Hands, no.
Yeah, none of it was on my neck or my hands.
Yeah, because
my hands were out of the water holding on the kayak.
And if you're trying to get onto a jet ski, don't you think the scrapes would be on the front of your hands?
Yes, or what on the jet ski is scraping you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, jet skis are built to be smooth. They're wave runners. They literally are supposed to be not sharp. Like,
right.
They're supposed to go fast as fuck on the water.
Like, what I've been able to find online, they don't ask him to clarify what part of the jet ski scratched
They're like, oh,
you.
You must have just had a spiky jet ski. That makes sense.
Yeah. Like, what part of the jet ski scratched you? I don't understand that. And on both, I could see if he had like one scratch on one arm or like a couple scratches in one area on his arm, but on both of your arms and the back of your hands and your neck, you know what that sounds more like to me is you're
defensive wounds.
defensive wounds. You trying to hold somebody underwater and them trying to maybe grab onto your neck to pull themselves out or grab onto your arms or scratch your arms to get you off of them while you're trying to hold them underwater. That's just my opinion.
I mean, and we're not fucking professional authorities.
Yeah, so I'm not insinuating that that's what happened. I'm just saying that that's what those scratches sound like to me.
But also, why are we the only ones that thought that? Like, why did they not think that?
But we're not. Yvonne thought that. Corey Williams thinks that. But I don't know what the authorities are doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What are you doing? Like, this is something that is discussed in like pretty much all the TV shows that I watched. Is I've heard when I've seen coverage about Natalie Holloway's case that like that greatly affected the Aruban economy because Americans didn't want to go there because they felt like it was
scary.
dangerous.
Yeah.
And again, Max's case happened a year before Natalie. But, you know, what a lot of people say is, well, the kid is lost at sea. There is no body, and we probably can't recover the body at this point.
Yeah.
What is a less detrimental story to tell? To say that this was a tragic jet skiing accident and this kid passed away and was lost at sea, or to say that, you know, at our resort on our island, a kid was attacked by somebody and a violent crime occurred.
I mean, yeah, so that makes me think of how many people they've said that story to, you know?
Right. And that's where, you know, I'm not trying to say just because these specific investigators did a fucking horrible job doesn't mean like the entire island of Aruba is like dangerous or anything. I'm not trying to say don't go there, but I could see how maybe just saying it's easier to just say he was lost at sea because it's going to be very difficult to prove that this man did it when there's no body, all of this, and it's going to be a much smaller news story when the kid's just lost at sea and it's just a tragic accident, as opposed to when a child gets murdered on vacation. That's a huge news story that's going to go worldwide like Natalie Holloway's did.
I was going to say,
so
it happened a year later.
I think it seems the idea that he was just lost at sea is way more convenient for Aruban authorities. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Makes sense to me.
And by the way, you know, if this man did have something to do with it, which I'm not insinuating because I don't know, I'm just asking questions here. He's not even from Aruba, you know, he's from Chicago. So it's like...
Yeah, that doesn't really like... It wasn't like the Aruban people planned that.
Right, but the authorities did not handle this properly.
Yeah.
I don't know, but they just take the man's words at face value. They're like, okay, he just floated away and then he swam. But no, actually, he just floated.
That makes me think that he was like very like... I don't know, like charismatic, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and it sounds like he was, you know, like it sounds like, you know, Yvonne and Pat were like having a good time with this guy. Like, and that's why he got to go parasailing with them and all this stuff.
Well, yeah, he got them to trust him.
Exactly. Now, the Aruban authorities, they're like, all right, makes sense to us. Case closed. Unfortunate water accident. Now, with that, I'm looking at how far we are in, and, you know, I'll probably cut some stuff out, but we're about an hour in. So I actually think that we're going to make this episode a two-parter.
It's a two-parter.
I didn't expect it to be a two-parter, but like we have a lot of dialogue that's not written. So
sorry.
No. It's good. I think.
No, I'm not sorry. Sorry, I'm not sorry.
We always try and think it through. I know sometimes maybe we go a little too hard on the dialogue. I see your guys' comments.
This one's getting me going, though.
Some people like it. So yeah, I think when it's a really interesting case, it always takes longer than I expect to get through what I had written. But like, I think we're just at a good pausing point. There is so much more coming next week, because if you're like at this point, if you're already looking sideways at this older man and his story that makes no sense and all his scratches.
I'm right there with you. I'm looking upside down at him.
Next week, we are going to talk about later on, not the Aruban authorities, but some U.S. authorities look into this man's background, and what they find convinces Yvonne that this man did something to her son.
Oh, shit.
So that's where we're going to start next week. Sorry to leave you guys on a cliffhanger. I probably would have like summed it up a little bit better if I had planned on doing it as a two-parter, but I think that's where we're going to stop for today. So make sure to tune in next week, and I hope you guys are enraged. Be ready to be more enraged next week, because next week your heart is going to be shattered for Yvonne and Dominique and for Max. But yeah, I don't really have any biz nasty to end with, so I think we'll just go. Court is adjourned.
Bye.
Bye.